holiday.
No, you know, I always know it's coming, just like my body just never ready.
Vibrates.
Yeah.
Oh.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Before I introduce our guest speaker this morning, I do want to go through our anniversaries and birthdays for the month of November, and then our top producers and closer, people that have closed business in the month of October. So let's start with our birthdays. Melissa Wilson is on the 10th, which is the day before my birthday, which is on the 11th. Happy birthday. Travis is on the 14th. Cindy and Shale. God, what a month November is. Absolutely incredible. Oh, for those of you that are on Zoom that haven't heard, the mustache thing was my costume from Halloween last night. And it was supposed to be Goose from Top Gun. However, I think I got Magnum PI and so I was Goose on leave, so I had a Hawaiian shirt and my aviator glasses. And so it kind of leaned into the whole mega.
It's 2 for 1.
It's a 2 or 3 for 1.
I think win the Halloween costume contest.
I think so. I am probably going to do Ted Lasso next year though, because I think I can really pull that one off.
No,
With the exact same costume.
No.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. Anniversaries. Brittany Piper joined us in November of 2019. Catherine Bradford's anniversary is today as well in 2016. Cindy McCann, 2018. Lisa Funkhauser and Jay Reedy in 2019 and 2020. Congratulations on your anniversary with Realty One Group. Yay! We need a hand clap track.
All right. Yeah.
All right. Wait, we can save it for the top producers.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, before we get into our top producers, let me list everybody that closed the transaction last month. Cindy, Jessica, Julia, Kevin, Chris, Crystal, Latrice, Laura, Luke, Melissa, Michaela, Sarah Jane, and Teresa all closed business in October of 2022. Congratulations to all of you. And then our top producers for the month of October. We have Michaela Hoffman at $950,000 in closed business last month. Jessica actually closed just over $1 million last month. And Latrice Williams in the #1 spot with $1,335,000. Congratulations. So top producers, you'll be getting an email from Brittany to go out to lunch with us 2 Tuesdays from now. So the 3rd Tuesday of the month after our sales meeting, we will do a top producer lunch. And now, without further ado, see, now we're getting to the good part of the morning. So before I introduce Amy, and we've talked about her in our promotion of this morning, everybody on Zoom and in the room, I wanted to talk a little bit about, I wrote 2 things down as to why I invited her here today. The first reason I invited Amy today was because she comes highly recommended from people that I trust on a really high level. I think that that's really important. There are a lot of people that want to get in front of you. There are a lot of people that want to get our business, but when a recommendation comes from a trusted source, that's important to me. The second reason that I invited Amy today is that we're in a real estate market right now that is absolutely going to make or break every single one of you. In a shifting market, those that have the right behaviors, techniques, strategies, and accountability will absolutely blow the doors off and grow. And those that don't will get out of the business. And I guarantee you 1 year from today, we're about 2,800 agents in the Spokane MLS. We will be significantly lower than that in a year. We'll probably be significantly lower than that in March or April. But that's because we all need to embrace the behaviors that will get us to the next level. And that was the second and probably the most important reason that I brought Amy today. So let me introduce Amy Donaldson. Amy Donaldson works with Southwestern Coaching. I'm just going to read this so that I don't miss anything important. Amy is a certified professional sales and leadership coach. She has over 10 years of top producing sales and leadership experience. She has won awards for sales and been a top producer for several years. Amy has extensive experience speaking, training, and coaching people from all backgrounds, industries, and starting points. She lives by the motto that if it was easy, everyone would do it. And so she helps clients all over the country do the hard things every day to become the best version of themselves. She's a published author. Her book, Get Off the Cat Flow Roller Coaster, has helped thousands of professionals just like you achieve their goals. As a coach, Amy is passionate about helping clients to build strong habits, develop positive self-talk, become intentional about their lives, and redefine what's possible. Amy is here to share ideas and techniques that with us that will help to increase our individual production and to preview an amazing one-on-one coaching program. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big, warm Realty One Group welcome to Amy Donaldson, everybody.
But I'm
Almost.
myself. Okay, I want you guys to start off by standing up. You folks at home can stand up as well, although maybe just look at the people on your Zoom screen. Okay, so I have a little exercise. Don't worry, we're not going to do any jumping jacks. Just take a look at the person on your right or left. And now look at the person in front of or behind you. Okay, now take a minute and go look at the better looking of the two.
I didn't hear that.
It was a rude joke to make everyone feel a little bit uncomfortable. I said, look at the more attractive of the two.
Oh.
I don't care.
Right, so, okay, I always like to just start with laughter. You guys can sit down now. That was my whole joke. So one of the things that I deeply believe in is laughter and helping others laugh. So over the next 60 to 90 minutes, I just invite you guys to have fun, laugh with me. You too, you're not off the hook just because you're at home. But one of the things, oh, and you can, if people are chatting stuff that's shareable, you can go ahead and anything that's share worthy. So before I dive in on our sales training, I want to tell you a little bit about Southwestern Consulting and that we've changed over 20,000 lives with our one-on-one coaching program. We have over 160 coaches worldwide. I think we're in 12 different countries. So I think we might be in 13. I think we just opened up a new one, but I don't know that for certain. These are some of the companies and industries that we work with. And this is what we do. We help people increase sales, and our mission and the reason we exist is to help increase not just the production of sales, but also the perception of sales. Something I'm so passionate about is that when sales done properly, it really is a service. And I think that a lot of people who are in sales don't register that. And so they say things like, I'm not really in sales, I'm in the relationship business. Well, consider the possibility that sales is the relationship business. Okay, I've been in sales for about 20 years, and one of my goals is always, like, one of my goals here today is to develop a long-term, long-lasting relationship with all of you, and then specifically with Matt, right? So that I get invited back, so that I get introduced to, right? I was referred to Matt by somebody else, but I had actually a couple of people that I had done workshops similar to this. And that's through building long-term, long-lasting relationships. When you focus more on the relationship than on the transaction, you will be very good at sales, and sometimes you're going to be surprised at where they come from. So before we dive in onto the content, Matt and I have actually spent quite a bit of time, talking about what your guys' strengths are, what the challenges are in today's market. And so I really want to acknowledge Matt for that and the time that he's invested into you guys. I talk to hundreds of leaders every single week, and it's rare that I see someone that really wants to pour into their group the way that Matt does. I mean, he really cares about your success, and he really understands who you guys are as people. And I think that that's something that you guys should, and he didn't know I was going to say that. He didn't write anything for me. He's not as weird as I am. Well, the Ted Lasso thing going on. Well, maybe he is. Well, no, once I develop that long-term relationship, I'll get back to you on that. So before we dive in, I want to know what your guys' goals are. What are some, and you know, I got everyone else's name, I didn't catch
Laura, sorry.
Laura, okay. But who wants to share, and then people at home, if you wanna put it in the chat, and then Dan can share,
Can do.
your goals. But yeah, just some goals that you have for 2023, and some goals of what you'd like to get out of this workshop.
Well, I'm working on relationship with my database because I had a huge database, well, not huge, but over 400. And I stopped doing calendars because I got stuck with a bunch during COVID because I couldn't give them out at opens. So now I'm going through them letter by letter and picking out exactly who I know who it is, and I'm stopping by their house.
I love it. Relationships with her database and pop-bys. Does anyone else have some goals that they want to share? Has anyone set any goals for 2023 yet? Laura.
I have, I've been reading this book called Ninja Sales, and I've been trying to build up my database and do 4 touches a month. I've got up to 75 people, my goal is 200,
Okay,
but my immediate goal is 100.
okay.
But so I've been kind of building that up, reaching out to everybody in my phone, making sure that I have their addresses and their email addresses, and being able, being able to
I love it.
touch them each 4 times a month.
I love it. And I love that Laura's goal is also very specific and actionable, right? And so is Lisa's. So thank you guys for sharing, because here's the thing. Do we really have control over our results? That's right. We don't have control over our results. We can influence them, right? And there's 3 things that we have direct control over that have a massive impact on the results that we get. So we're going to focus on those first. So those 3 things form a triangle, which you'll notice inside of your worksheet. One other thing you'll notice, so before I dive into that, on this one side, you'll notice that this is perforated, and there's a page for you guys to fill out. It's got name, title, company. If I do an amazing job at this workshop and you guys were like, wow, this was really good, what do you think I'm going to ask you for at the end?
Reference.
Referral.
Yeah.
Yes. So you guys can tear this off and we can save that for the end. And I want him to be introduced to people like Matt. People who have a sales team of 3 or more. It does not have to be real estate. Okay. But people that also care about, I don't want to represent anybody. I want to be passed from great leader to great leader. So we're going to save that to the end, and only if I do a good job. Sound fair enough? How many of you are in the habit of asking for referrals the very first time you meet someone? Yeah, that's one of the things that we're going to talk about. Because am I meeting you guys here for the first time? Yeah, I'm going to model everything I teach, but that's also one of the things that's in the that's going to be in our material. Right, some of the reasons why you might want to do that and why it's okay to do that. So I'm going to pivot back to controlling the controllables. And those of you at home that don't have a handout, you can just draw a triangle, and on the first side of the triangle, write the word skills. When you think of skills in your business, what comes to mind?
How you do things.
Folks at home? Okay, how you do things. But what are some specific skills? Listening skills, negotiation skills. Got anything? Contract writing. Anyone at home? What about learning to make a good first impression? Overcoming objections. Actually asking people for the business. So these are all learnable, trainable, coachable skills. So everything except the contract writing are things we go over in our coaching program. Contract writing, CMAT. Anything from contract to close, CMAT or your team here. But everything leading up to the moment that somebody says, yes, I want to work with you as my real estate agent, those are sales skills. And those are things that we work with people on. And top producers are constantly sharpening that proverbial sales saw. Right, they're doing things like reading Ninja Selling, which is a great book, by the way. Going to a Tony Robbins event, which the Date with Destiny is amazing, by the way. Going to events like that, coming to stuff like this, sharpening your skills on an ongoing basis, being a lifelong learner. The second controllable is motivation. This is one of my favorite things to talk about because most people don't recognize that this is a controllable. Most of us are kind of at the whim of our motivation, and some days it's up here, sometimes it's down here, it's kind of all over the place. It creates a roller coaster. Our business and our bank accounts then reflect it. How many of you have had that kind of an experience? Yes. So one of the things that we work with our clients on, and that all top producers know, is what are some things you can do daily to increase your motivation? And everybody's different. So this isn't like, okay, give me the secret sauce, Amy, what is it? I don't have a slide to say this is what you do, because it's an individual thing, it's a conversation. You know, what is your why? So I have a client, Jonathan Bird, who he's with Farmers Insurance in South Carolina. His big why is his little girl. I think she's 4 or 5 years old, and their company incentive trip was a trip to Disneyland. So that was really what motivated him, but he's still, sometimes he's up, sometimes he's down. And I said, why don't you take out the recording on your phone? Because he's an auditory, I'm more of a visual person. So for me, my vision board was more powerful. He's more of an auditory learner, which is something we had also discovered. And I said, why don't you take out your phone, the recording, and have your daughter record something? Right. And she made the cutest little recording that just said, Daddy, I want to go to Disneyland or Disney World or whatever the incentive trip was. And I was like, Jonathan, now we're going to take a sticky note on your computer. So whenever you're not feeling it, you're reminded to go listen to that. So do you think that helped with his motivation? And it was always right there in his pocket. So if he didn't want to make his phone calls, or he didn't want to pop in on the mortgage, most of his business comes from mortgage brokers because it's property and casualty insurance, right? So if you didn't want to drive out and take them the binder or take them to lunch, or he's just not feeling it, you listen to that recording, and what do you think won? He took his daughter to Disneyland. That incentive trip was last year. So motivation is something that's really powerful, and we don't think of it as a controllable. The third controllable is our systems. So I like to think of systems as an acronym for save yourself time, energy, and money. So what systems do you guys have in place to help support your business? Are you guys using email templates?
I go to the dollar store and find really cute stuff to take to my clients.
I love it. So what's the system around it? Because that's a great activity.
Yeah,
What's the system?
I'm breaking them all down into grids now, so I'm not running all over the place.
Okay, so breaking your deliveries down into grids, so you go to one neighborhood, that's a system. What are some other systems that we've got? What about time blocking? Right, do you have a system for how you do that?
I'm trying to get everything computer related done before noon. every day.
I love it. So Laura likes to get everything computer related done before noon. Now, how does that impact your business? How does that save you time, energy, and money?
Well, I mean, just the goal of getting it done before noon gets me up and gets me moving and.
That gets her moving.
Right, and then in the afternoon, I have time to either be with the family if I have nothing work related going on, or work. And not have to worry about, oh, I gotta get to my emails, or I gotta get the paperwork done, or whatever.
Yeah,
You
so
know,
like showing houses and being present. to
Yes.
clients. I love it. So that's a great system. And I would contend anytime something falls through the cracks, that it's a systems problem. Does that make sense? So like my assistant, Audrey, is the master of systems. I don't know if I'd have any systems without her. But one of her assistants, she's actually away this week, and there's a lot of emails that we send out to clients, to people, to lots of people. So a system that she created, anything that she was supposed to send out this week based on things on my calendar, she just set it up in drafts, and I guess somehow you can have things automatically go out. I didn't know you could do that, but that's a system. So if you have Outlook or Gmail or any of these programs, they've got systems built in that a lot of times we're not utilizing. So what holds this all together and where the magic really happens is when we build good habits around all three of these controllables. Right? Jonathan got into the habit of listening to that recording every time he didn't feel like doing what he knew he was supposed to be doing. Every time he wanted to blow off his income producing activities, he created a habit. And what helps create that habit is this accountability. Right, so the accountability is the number one reason that people get into our coaching program. It's someone to say, hey, are you listening to that recording you created? How is that going? Do you need a vision board? Are you more of a visual person? And I'm not a fan of the vision boards that have the Maserati and the jet and things that you're not actually pursuing. Right? If you're not actually, and I believe everyone in this room has the ability to get to that level, but if you're not actually pursuing those things, your subconscious mind is going to look at this and be like, yeah, no. What I believe in, you know, I have a 23-year-old, but on my vision board, you know, many years ago, she wanted to go to college. I wanted to pay for her college. As a single mom, that was a really, really big goal. So I had her picture and the college that she wanted to go to as one of the things on my vision board. Not a jet, not a Maserati, but the simple things that I was actually, and I was able to pay for her college. Very proud that she was able to give her that gift, but partly because I put it in front of me every day so that when I didn't feel like doing what I was supposed to do, I had that motivation, right? So some people are more kinesthetic, some people are auditory, some, you know, so finding that daily motivation and having some accountability around it, having somebody say to me, and that was something my coach said to me, it was like, Amy, have you put that on there yet? Are you looking at it every day? Because I wasn't, right? I came up with that's a good idea. But I needed somebody to tell me. So how is that going? Oh, I need to get a picture. I need to, okay, do I need to hold while you do that? I mean, that is kind of how we hold people accountable when they don't do the things that they say. They jump on a phone call and haven't done the things. It's like, okay, well, I'll hold while you. Got your printer right there? Okay, find one, print it. You know, a lot of these things that we know we need to do, just they're so simple. They take such a small amount of time. And sometimes we just need that little push and someone to really hold our feet to the fire. So now I'm going to pivot and talk about the specific habits that all top producers share. So in our organization, we work with thousands of top producers all over the world. And there's 3 habits that we see very consistently that every single one of them has to some degree or another. And the first is that top producers find a way, not an excuse. Your brain is going to find what you're looking for, right? And we all have this guy, our little angel, that says, you know what, Laura, you can have anything that you want. Right? That voice that says, Lisa, what was your best year? You can double that. Angie, your annual income can become your monthly income. Right? We all have that voice inside of us, stirring, creating these dreams, saying that you can take that vacation, you can buy that vacation house. But then we also have this little guy over here. So I call him Mr. Mediocrity. And Mr. Mediocrity says, no, you can't. You've never done anything that cool before. What makes you think you're so special? Have any of us heard that voice? Yeah, so what top producers do, we all have it. And when we see these people performing at a high level, it kind of creates the illusion that maybe they don't have him whispering in their ear. The reality is everybody has both. Top producers have made a conscious decision to listen to that first voice. And you can too, right? Because we all have both of those voices whispering in our ear. And it's the one that we choose to listen to is going to speak to us the loudest. Right? You can turn to Mr. Mediocrity and say, you ever get tired of watching me do the things you say I can't? You have that power within you. So who wants to be just a little bit vulnerable? Who's willing to share some of the excuses that you've made over the past couple weeks?
I don't have time.
I don't have time. What are some others?
It's too hard.
It's too hard. Yeah. Any others? We can run with those two. I don't have time and it's too hard. Who can relate to those two? Yeah. And the reality is things are hard, but they're not impossible. Right? And there is a finite amount of time, but there's other people doing more with the same amount of time. So here's the thing, one of the most dangerous things about our excuses is that most of them are true. That's what makes them so seductive and so easy to believe. Right? Maybe you haven't ever done anything like that before. All of those things are true, but just because something's true, does that mean that you have to give it the power to rob you of your goals and your dreams? Yeah, I'm with Laura over here. She's shaking her head. Y'all can't see her. But no, you do not have to give those things. You can say, yeah, but so what? And that's what top producers do. Yep, I am short on time. Yep, it is hard. Or I do have 4 kids running around. So what? I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to listen to this voice. So top producers find a way, not an excuse, and that's a habit. Habit number 2 that separates top producers from average producers is that they invest in their mind. Do we have any Jim Rohn fans? Got Tammy, got Matt nodding. I'm sure some of you guys at home. Feel free to participate in the chat. I haven't heard much from Danny. They're quiet. Come on, gang. Are you with me? I don't know. What if I get like make it weird? We're gonna start seeing it blow up now, but they're like, get that woman out of yeah, get her out of my, I don't need to see her eyeball. So Jim Rohn says that formal education will make you a living, self-education will make you a fortune. Agree or disagree?
Great.
Agree, folks at home? I'm just gonna assume you're with me. So this is something, and I think we touched on this earlier, right? Being a lifelong learner and having a habit around it, not going to an event once and then never again, right? It's not reading one book, but it's making a habit. Either reading the same book over and over. I recently just finished The Magic of Thinking Big, and the first thing I did was start it over again because it was such a good book. I love that. That's a good recommendation. Also, I was just introduced to a book that I'll read multiple books at a time. Selling is Human. That one's starting off really good. Oh, good. Thank you guys who got some participation. Love it.
Agree.
Agree. I love it. Okay. So it's the third habit of all top producers is they take action now. Top producers don't spend a lot of time thinking about it. Top producers don't say things like, send me some information and I'll look it over. Right? They're decisive. Yes or no. It doesn't mean they say yes to everything. Right? But they either say yes or they say no and they move on and they're not thinking about that thing anymore. Does that make sense? So take action now. So what is the #1 killer of success in the world today?
Consistency.
Consistency would be the solution. What's the killer? Good answer though. Procrastination.
Oh,
The largest nation in the world. Right? So who here can admit that they procrastinated to some degree over the past 14 days? All right, you folks at home can raise your hand later. Some of you guys are going to get that tip later. Yeah, they're still not with us. It's so okay, so there's a particularly common, especially in real estate, form of procrastination. It's called creative avoidance. So there's actually 2. The other one is perfectionism. So how many of you have ever like not sent your, your monthly newsletter goes out twice a year because you want to get it perfect? Right? That's a form of procrastination. Send it out. Done is better than perfect. The second form is creative avoidance. Does anyone want to take a stab at what creative avoidance is?
Oh, I shouldn't call people right now because they're probably not home.
I love it. I shouldn't call people right now because they're probably not home. Yes, and it's filling the time with less important activities, right? So we're going to take calling as an example. Let's just say I have put it on my calendar. I'm going to call from 9 a.m. to 10:30. call into my database and wish them a happy Thanksgiving and invite them to my client appreciation event. Or whatever it is, 9 AM to 10:30, so 9 AM, and I am now opening up my laptop. Right, I'm not dialing anybody, I am opening up my laptop, because I hadn't done that yet, we're gonna let that warm up. And you know what, I'm gonna go grab a cup of coffee while that, and I should probably grab some water too. But if I'm sitting here with all this liquid, I better go to the bathroom before I start. So then, finally get back, well, maybe I run into somebody in the hallway, just have a quick chat with a coworker. Well, no, that's important. And then ding, something dings, what is that, team? Who can tell me?
Phone.
The phone, or an email, or a text message, or whatever it is, it's probably important, maybe one of my deals is on fire, so. Why don't I deal with that? I'm just gonna respond to that real quick, it's the other agent on the other side of the deal. So team, what just happened?
You got nothing done.
I got nothing done. I didn't make my phone calls. So if at some point between 10:30, I do manage to make a couple of phone calls. Right? And then I run into Matt later in the day and he says, hey, Amy, I know you were gonna do that prospecting this morning. How'd that go? What do you think I'm gonna tell him? What do you think my brain thinks I did? Good. Good. Well, 9 AM, started right at 9, right? So this is how we end up getting to the end of the week and feeling like we've done everything we were supposed to, but not having the results to show for it. Because we feel like we dialed that whole time, but we didn't. So one of the things that we help people with in the way that top producers avoid creative avoidance is protecting the time on their calendar for income producing activities. And the way you protect it, if we see a pattern and know that, hey, every day I open it up, then I get my coffee, then how about we just put like a 15-minute window ahead of time? So 8:45, you're gonna get your coffee, you're gonna go to the bathroom, you do all of that stuff, okay? And then at the end of your prospecting, so maybe a half-hour window, 10:30 to 11, we also wanna have a block for responding to emails that came in or text messages, handling, putting out fires. And the reason for that, I love that you just took a deep breath as I was talking about it, right? When an email comes in, it's really hard to resist that urge. But if I know that, oh, I already have it on my calendar to respond to that email. I didn't lie to myself and say, I don't know who's gonna email me, I don't know what's gonna come. It's like, you don't need to know ahead of time who's gonna email. You're going to get emails during this time. Right? So blocking out a window so that when that comes in, you're like, oh, I got you. I already planned for that email. And so even if it is a deal, the other agent freaking out about something, do you think they can wait 45 minutes? 100%. Jim Lasso, his eyebrows got real big right there. Oh yeah. I'm gonna call you Jim Lasso from now. He's like, that wasn't my costume. It is now. I know some of those things that just don't go away. Oh, this is what was supposed to be on there as I was just talking. I'm like, I'm behind my slide. So this is why it's super important. Has anyone heard of the law of diminishing intent? The law of diminishing intent simply states that the more time that goes by between when we had an intention, the less likely we are to actually act on it. So that circles back to the take action now. So now I want you guys to take a minute and on a scale of 1 to 10, rate yourselves. And this is something that's just for you. This isn't something you need to share. How are you doing on time management? So a 10 is someone, you are locked and loaded. Sunday night, you plan out your week. You've got your income producing activities. You've got your time to respond to emails. You've even accounted for it because you know how many buyers you're working with. You've even accounted for home showings that requests haven't even come in yet for, right? And you get to the end of the week and you feel like a boss. You got your prospecting done. You showed houses, you wrote offers. You went on listing appointments and buyer consultations, right? You are hitting your goals and you are on fire. That's a 10. Now, 1 is that you kind of have a fuzzy idea of what you want to get accomplished during the week. And you kind of have some names rolling around your head of some clients you want to reach out to. First thing Monday morning, you wake up and rather than just execute, you're in your emails, you're in your text messages, you're already sucked into other people's priorities. And by the end of the week, you just feel exhausted and drained, but without anything real to show for it. Okay. And I know that in real estate, most of us aren't going to be a 10, that's okay. But just take a minute and think about where on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you honestly land? How are you doing with that?
You want people to write numbers in here in the chat?
They can just keep it, they don't need to put it in, because it really is kind of just for them to reflect on.
Okay.
Because the next thing I want you to think about, and most real estate agents are not going to be a 10, but if you're not at least like a 7, 8, or a 9 on most days, what is that costing you? And notice I didn't ask how much. For some people it is money, for some people it costs you a lot of money. But for most of us, it's something deeper than that. I mean, I know for me personally, there was a point when I was probably selling between 60 and 70 houses a year. I was extremely busy, but I did not have my time management under control. And on my nephew's 10th birthday, I was living in Portland. I had driven all the way down from Lake Oswego to Salem. It was about a 45-minute drive for his birthday party. And I'm thinking, I took the day off, right? It was a 45-minute drive on the way back. And I'm thinking that was huge for me at the time until I talked to my mom, who asked me, were you really on your phone the whole time at Caden's birthday party? Has anyone ever felt what I'm describing? That was not a good feeling. That was a massive wake-up call. Because how did she know? I mean, I was, obviously, but how did she know that? Yeah, because when she wished her grandson a happy birthday and said, oh, Amy was there, what do you think he said? Kind of. Have you guys ever disappointed a little kid before? Yeah. How many of you have stepped away from Thanksgiving dinner to talk to a client? Because you didn't have this under control. Right? Because the time management piece wasn't under control. People freak out when they look at a calendar like this, but it calendars in things like personal time. Right? What I would do differently today for Caden's birthday party is I would have immediately after that party 45 minutes that I can sit in the parking lot and respond to emails and client, right? Before my drive home. Handle any of those deals so that at his birthday party I could be present. So I know that time management is not a sexy topic. People aren't like, hey, I want to go hear Amy talk about time management. I want to jump on a call and learn how to get that under control. That's going to get me jazzed up. But I also know that this is one of those things, like not having it under, it's like having termites in your house, but in your life, destroying your relationships, eroding actually the quality even of the relationships you have with your clients. You're not as focused on them when you're responding to text messages and emails from a Chuck E. Cheese. It doesn't serve anyone. You're literally just destroying the foundations of things. So time management is so important because it hits every area of our lives. And this is something that top producers take very, very seriously. So these are the 3. Find a way, not an excuse, students of the game, and take action now. And so now I want to pivot. We'll lighten it up a little now that I got really heavy on you guys. To talk about the cycle of this sale. The beauty of working by referral is you can get pre-approached, right? Tell me a little bit about that person. Are they direct and to the point? Are they a little bit more fun? Which helps you know how to approach them. Do I need to get straight to the bottom line or do I chat a little bit? And then your introduction, which is really your fact finding. This is where you ask that prospect what's important to them. What are you looking for in your new home? What are you looking for in a real estate agent? How do I earn your business? And you move into the presentation, which is where you show them, well, this is how I work, this is how I plan to market your home and help you achieve those goals, right? Some home sellers, their main goal is to get it sold as quickly as possible with as least amount of hassle. Others are to get top dollar, right? And some people, it's a sliding scale of, we do want top dollar, but we don't want to do anything crazy to fix it up, right? So you need to have your presentation match what they told you in the introduction, and then close and ask them for the business. Team, do not skip this step. Now, when you go on a listing presentation, you literally have to at some point, like, get them to sign, right? You have to, even if you clumsily close, at some point they need to sign the listing agreement, or you can't put a sign in their yard. So I know you're doing it with the sellers, but how are you doing with your buyers? Are you asking them to work exclusively with you? Or do you just meet them and come back and go, oh yeah, we had great rapport, they're definitely using me. Right? And when you do that, how often do you notice, I haven't heard from the Joneses in a while. You send that text, want to look at houses this weekend, and you hear back, oh, we're good, we found something. Has anyone ever had that happen? It is really, really painful, and it's avoidable by just learning how, and I know that this is uncomfortable if you're not used to doing it, but which is worse? I mean, I would contend it's way worse to work with someone for 6 months and have them be like, oh, we found something. And it's because we skipped this step. So what that looks like is actually having a buyer consultation, and at the end explaining why you want them to work with you exclusively and what that means. Right? So you might be, you know, without this conversation, you might be the only one they reach out to if they need to get into a house. But if there's an open house, they'll just pop on in. Right? So letting them know that, hey, if you walk into an open house and you absolutely love it, don't tell the agent on site. What I want you to do is just send me a quick text, and I can either meet you over there, or we can, you know, just write up the offer. If they walk into new construction, explaining you're not going to get a better deal going directly with the builder or using the agent on site. In some areas, I don't know how it is in this, there's some areas if they don't register you as their real estate agent, yeah, so explaining that to your buyers to say, hey, when you walk into new construction, they ask you to register, you need to go ahead and write my name down.
Also, I bring up for sale by owners right off the bat.
Yeah.
You know, I say, if you drive by one and it looks like something you want, you write down that number and let me give you a call, because I sell a lot of those, and yeah, I just bring it up right away.
I love it. So that's part of the close. Thank you, Lisa. So she's saying that she also explained to them for sale by owner. So that is like, use me exclusively, and here's what that means, because people don't automatically know. And then overcoming any objections. Right? Some people think they can get a better deal going directly to the owner or the builder. So explaining to them why that might not be a good idea. And a for sale by owner might tell them they'll sell it to them for cheaper if there's not an agent. So knowing how to overcome that objection that, hey, it's not just the sales price on the house, it's also getting you through the inspections, like being able to clearly articulate your value. And if you did a good job listening here, you're gonna be able to overcome almost anything that comes up here. And then what did I promise we were gonna talk about? Asking for referrals. So team, how many of you ask in the beginning versus waiting until you're handing them the keys?
I ask when they compliment me about something.
I love it. Those are great opportunities. So Lisa asked when they compliment her. How many of you guys are asking at that first meeting, like when you have your listing presentation or your buyer consultation? Yeah, almost no one does. Is anyone here familiar with the particular activating system? Part of our reptilian brain, and it's what causes the fight or flight system. It's attached to that whole system. It basically alerts us to things that are important. So in our way back when we were invented, when we were first created, this is what kept us safe. This is what alerted us. It basically alerted us to food, right? Anything that was food or anything that maybe thought we were food. Although we're not running from saber-toothed tigers anymore, at least not to my knowledge. If you spot one, let me know. So the way that our brain has evolved is rather than saying, oh, we don't need to, it has evolved to see, like, you've ever had an experience when you bought a new car? Do you guys see that car everywhere? Oh, I didn't realize how many of this car there was on the road. Yes, that's your reticular activating system, just noticing what's important to you. So if you had to guess, somebody's buying a house, you think that's kind of a big deal? You think it might trigger the reticular activating system? Yeah, and our reticular activating system, it's always being triggered by something, whatever it registers as kind of the most exciting, it gets triggered by excitement. So there's a window of time from when they meet with you until they're handed the keys, that they are noticing conversations about people buying houses. Once you hand them the keys, that's not, the reticular activating system says, okay, that's done. But now I just learned a new word. I know what a balance is. Because I'm looking at interior design and decorating and home repairs. Oh, I didn't know there were this many Lowe's here. They're suddenly seeing the Lowe's advertisements and Home Depot everywhere. They're not listening to real estate conversations anymore because they're now a homeowner, not a home buyer. So you have this magical window of time where they are highly attuned. So the way the referral ask goes, it's super simple. It's like, hey, Laura, I am so excited to start working with you and help you find that home. And by the way, now that we've started on this journey together, you are going to start noticing real estate conversations, other people who want to buy houses, right? And you know, when that happens, I would be overjoyed to give them the same great service that I'm going to give you. So when that happens, if you want to just start a group text and introduce us, then I'll take it from there. And by the way, I promise I'm just going to make you look good. Does that sound easy enough? How do you think people would respond to that?
Love the group text thing. That is like, that's the second time I've heard that, and it's like, it's changed a lot, because you tell them, hey, give them my number, or give me their number.
Yeah.
And I found when you give them, when they give them your number, they don't call you.
They don't.
So I tell people, I'm like, okay, you know, give me their number, but sometimes they don't feel comfortable.
Yeah, they don't want to do it.
You know, but the group chat is that middle ground that they're okay with.
Yeah,
And
It's brilliant.
it still gives you their number.
it does.
Yes.
It does, and you can parlay that. Great point. Okay, so now I'm gonna teach you one last thing.
It's kind of the same thing with the reviews, like. people
Yes.
already- It's like, once it's closed, dude, you're gonna get a review.
Yeah.
Maybe, but hardly ever, but if it's like right before close. You can get that review.
Absolutely.
That final walkthrough.
Yes,
Right, exactly.
absolutely.
Oh, that's great, you're from that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
here, fill this out. Go to my link. Go
Yes.
here, go everywhere. Tag me on Facebook.
yeah.
For your
that's
social
right.
media. So class is a framework you can use in almost any situation. If you're ever like, oh, I don't know what to say, or you're at a party and people are talking to you about real estate, you can always lean back on this. The first thing is just ask them what they're currently doing. What's your current situation? The second is, what do they like about it? And you don't literally use the word like, this is just to keep it in your mind, but what's going well? Okay, alter is, what do you not like? What are some challenges you're facing? What are some of the difficulties you're having right now? Signer is just to make sure that you're talking to all the decision makers. And in my mind, signer is not just literally the people who are signing the paperwork. But if they're getting their down payment from dad, what are the odds that he's gonna show up at the home inspection and kill my deal? We wanna get a conversation, but we wanna earn his trust up front. I don't wanna find out about him when he's crawling under the house at the home inspection and getting in the inspector's way.
Yeah.
We don't wanna, you've had that happen before, haven't you? Yeah. Like Ted Lasso's over there going, Amy. I know, one of these days I'm gonna actually call you Ted, and you're gonna be like, it's actually now.
Exactly where it came from.
You will know exactly where it came from. I'll introduce you to someone. This is my friend Ted. I'll be like, Matt. Okay, and then the last one is to paint the picture. This is what it looks like to work with me. This is when you're painting the picture. this is how I solve these problems and work with and get you out of the current situation of the situation that you want. So, okay. Want to talk about momentum. So you guys are gonna have to play along. You guys at home, I'm trusting you to just be playing along. So everybody repeat after me. Coast,
No.
sill,
No.
coast,
No.
sill,
No.
coast,
No.
sill.
No.
What do you put in the toaster?
Toast.
Bread. Bread.
Oh, yeah.
So what made her say toast though?
Toast.
Right, and it's something called momentum. Once you get someone's brain going in a certain direction,
Mhm.
okay, it creates momentum that's hard to resist, even though she knows you put bread in it, you take toast out, right? So she doesn't, it's, that's your instinct. And I know most of you guys said toast too, or at least you thought it. So, okay, let's see if I can get someone again. You think I can do it again?
Be quiet.
Okay. Just play along. Coast,
Coast.
silk,
So,
Sill.
coast,
Coast.
coast, silk,
so,
coast,
Coast.
silk.
Sill.
What do cows drink?
milk.
Water.
Grass.
Oh, you don't want milk because they grass, that's what they
They
eat.
Grass.
they drink water.
Oh.
They said
It's
it.
because coast is toast and silk is milk,
And silk is milk.
but yeah.
She changed it on us because she knew we were thinking, we were like, where's she
Yeah,
gonna
we're-
trick us?
I, Lisa's up here. Right. Yeah, I know Laura's like, I already knew this one. Thank you for not telling it. So momentum, so building momentum in your business, right? Getting people saying yes and taking the next step and the next step is super important. And building momentum with things like referrals. How many of you also, when somebody gives you a referral, are in the habit, this one's really scary. Say, great. And who else? Like, thank you so much. Who else do you know? Because if they're giving you referrals, chances are there's another one right behind that. Which is, and most of us, like that is, did that kind of scare some of you? And you're like, I would never. Imagine how many more referrals you'll get if you just get into that habit. Oh, thank you so much for introducing me to the Joneses. They were amazing. I love meeting with them. Who else do you know that they're exactly the type of people I love working with. Who else do you know?
I like reference letters too. I just got one from a gentleman that I sold 4 generations of their family now.
Yeah, when Brad introduced me to Matt, I called Matt. I had a great conversation. I called Brad back and said, Matt's amazing. Who else do you know like Matt? And then that's how I met Chris down in Kennewick and Todd up in Marysville or wherever. Right? That's how I met those people. I said, Brad, thank you so much. That's exactly who I want to meet. Who else? And he gave me new names. He wasn't like, you weirdo. You sound desperate. Go away. No, he was like, oh, well, would you go to Kennewick? What about Marysville? Yes, yes. And when I see Brad, I'm going to see Brad in person in 2 weeks. What do you think I'm going to ask him for? Yeah, I'm going to tell him I came here. Milk. I'm going to tell him I met Matt. You tell him you guys were amazing, and I'm going to thank him profusely. I'm going to say, who else do you know? Just like that.
That's awesome, I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think he's gonna say you weirdo, or do you think he's gonna give me more names?
Like, get an ego boost for sending somebody you like.
I hope so, and especially if Matt says nice things to him, right? That gets back to him, or at least if one of you guys does, I don't know. Somebody says something nice, yeah, it'll build his ego, and maybe he gives me more names and he doesn't know anyone else.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna ask, because that's what I'm in the habit of, and that's also where you control, I can control whether or not I ask, I don't control what he does. So that goes back to controlling the control.
You can also parlay that to your vendor partners too. Like,
That's right.
Like the more I recommend, make sure you let them know that Dan sent you.
That's right. Let them know that Dan sent you.
You're Amy, right?
I'm Amy.
Thank
Thank
you on this.
I'll usually even text the vendor and say, hey, I sent Colby your way. If you
Yep.
hear from him, let me know.
Yeah. So lots of good habits. So we're gonna go over, who had fun today? Who learned something that you can use immediately? Okay, who's ready to hear about the coaching program that I've been talking about? Okay, so we're gonna go over that coaching program, and afterwards, I've got some more tricks and tips on referrals, because I do think it's a really, really important part of your business. Before I dive in, what do these guys have in common? Just fire it out. Success.
Aura.
Aura, money, what else? You recognize that?
Right.
Strength. Also, you know, they all came from like nothing.
Hmm.
They are self-made and I love that about them. And lastly, guess what? They all have coaches.
Mhm.
Because people who want to be at the top of their game, they want to be the best of the best. They know that they need someone in their corner pushing them to do what they already know they should be doing, right? It's not, do I know this? It's, am I doing this? And if not, do I need that little nudge? So what's involved in our coaching program? And by the way, why do people get involved in coaching? Well, there's many benefits. When we have polled our clients, there were 3 things that came up over and over and over again. And the first was increasing your income. On average, our clients have increased their income by 46% the first year of coaching and 25% year after year after that. Okay, so who couldn't get excited about results like that? The second core reason is to multiply your time. Right? A lot of people say, yeah, I'd like to make more money, but I don't want to work any harder. Yeah, the goal is to actually work less time, make your work fit inside of its work. So you actually have more time to spend with your family, to enjoy this extra money that you are earning. And the last, or the third, I wouldn't say the last. The third is to grow your confidence. Because we all have a lid, and especially as I talk about referrals, I mean, how many of you guys felt that it does take some confidence to start, but then once you get in the habit, it's easy peasy lemon squeezy. So here is Shannon. If you want a copy of this video, just send me a text requesting it. You can see Shannon is a lovely Realty One Group agent out of Albany, like it's near Salem, where it's Ty Hildebrand's office. But yeah, she's out of the Albany office. Shannon, before she got into coaching, she had been a buyer's agent on somebody else's team. And then went out on her own because she was like, I'm doing all the work. And she's an amazing agent, takes great care of her clients. And she went out on her own, she discovered how hard it was to actually get the client. She's like, oh yeah, once they meet her, so but how do I meet more people? So that first year on her own, she made $56,000 and she got into coaching with a goal of making $100,000, which is almost double, right? So I was like, I can show you all the things, I'm gonna do my best to get you there. At the end of her first year, when we did her numbers, she had made $248,000. Yeah, which is almost, it's like between 4 and 5 times her income. And I looked at that and I said, Shannon, how does that feel? That's amazing. And it was more than double of her goal, which was already higher than our average. And she looked at me and said, you know what, Amy? Once I hit the 100,000, I don't even care. She's like, once my bills are paid and I'm comfortable, that wasn't even super important to me. She goes, what I really care about and the reason why I'm staying in and why she gives me so many referrals. She's like, are you feeling okay?
Oh, yeah, my back is just.
Oh, okay. But she said to me, she goes, I feel like I got my life back. That year before that I only made 56,000. She's like, I feel like I worked so hard for that. And even worse, because I feel like I missed an entire year of my kids' lives. She says, but now, yes, it's nice to have the more money, but what matters to me is I'm the one reading my kids their bedtime stories. I'm the one taking them to school. I got to go kayaking with my dad last month. I started reading my sci-fi books again, right? She's like, I feel like this has given me my life back. And so for next year, would I like to make even more money? Sure. And I probably will, but that's not why I'm staying in coaching. So I love Shannon's story because the extra money is a nice, bright, shiny object, but let's be real. How many of us can relate to Shannon where we like to have more money, but it's really about that time with our children and our loved ones and having our life back. And I think that she just illustrated it. You know, when people say it's not, the money isn't important, but they don't have any money, I don't feel like it's as powerful as somebody who really got that much money and then went, wow, it's actually not about the money. This is from a Remax agent who had been in the business for 44 years. And when I first spoke to her, she's out of Colorado. Linda said, she's flying me, I'm just gonna ride off into the sunset. But then after coming to one of these, she was like, no, you know what? I'm gonna go out with a bang. And we even set her up with a newer agent in her office that was able to take over her business. And it sent her referrals so that when she went out with a bang, she also had a little bit of residual income for the following couple of years. Monty Moore is another Realty One Group success story, and I can send you a copy of this podcast. This is his lender partner who's also in our coaching program. And this is Michelle, who coaches Monty. When Monty first got into coaching, he had to borrow $3,000 from his son just to keep his house out of foreclosure. But his goal was to make $500,000 someday. He now does that consistently. And because Michelle asked him, why not this year? Right? But his answer was, my house is in foreclosure. Excuse. And so she talked to him about find a way, not an excuse. Why does that? Your phone works, you have internet, you can prospect, you can door knock, right? You can, like, let's go make it rain. And I would love to tell you that first year he made 500,000. He did not. He does now. I think it took 3 years to get to that point. But this particular podcast, he sold over $1 billion in real estate. And he's out of Brentwood, Tennessee, just outside of Nashville. So this particular episode is where they talk about going from being in foreclosure to earning over, because he now consistently earns 500,000 a year. And part of it was door to door, just knocking doors, hitting the streets, because he's like, I don't know anyone. It's like, yeah, you see those houses? He doesn't door knock anymore. So what's included? You know, for those of you who are like, I would never, we just help throw ideas out and make it personalized to you. He actually loved the door knock, right? Like we don't prescribe anything to people. We really figure out what's your, he was like, well, I'm better in front of people. He kept having phone reluctance and started making phone calls. So what does our coaching program include? The core of the coaching program is the 2 phone calls a month with a certified professional coach. And the way we pair you with a coach is that all of our coaches have done a personality assessment, and all of our clients take that same assessment. That way you're paired with somebody who coaches the way that you want to be coached. As an example, I'm a very direct person. They call me more of a drill sergeant. And some people want more of a cheerleader, right? You can do it. I'm usually like, you didn't do your activities. Do you want it badly enough? So you want to make sure you're paired with the right person, because everybody on my roster, they came into coaching saying, I want someone to crack the whip. But the majority of people that I know, they're like, I need more of a cheerleader. We have over 160 coaches. We'll get you matched with the right person. Then in between coaching calls, we have over 50 supplemental modules, online learning videos, podcast books, whatever your learning style is. If you're visual, auditory, if you're a reader, our library is insane. We have the materials that will support you in the way that you need to be supported. And my favorite is the critical success factors. This is how we can give you true consultative coaching. This is our proprietary tracking system. So if for you, you're knocking on doors, and for you, you're making phone calls, whatever it is, we plug that in. And then every day, okay, I knocked on this many doors, I made this many phone calls. And so common, what happens if we took your goals and reverse engineered them, and you need to make 10 phone calls a day. Do you know how often we start tracking and it's like, well, you're making 9, and people think that's close enough because it kind of feels like it is. When you get to the end of the year and you're 90% to your goal, you know how frustrating that is? And this is why, right? Or someone's making 7 or 8 calls a day. Now you're 75% to your goal and you feel like it's not working. I don't know, it's working. You're not. How do I know if this is for me? Great question. We are not a good fit for everyone. And there's 3 things that we require. We don't accept everyone into our program. If you answer yes to these 3 questions, then I will tell you that our program will work for you if it's something you're interested in. If you answer no, then we're not a good fit, and that's okay. I still love you. You too at home. The first is, are you coachable? Are you willing to try things that are outside your comfort zone? Are you willing, when somebody gives you a referral, to say, oh, great, and who else do you know? Right? Not just think about these things, but are you willing to do these things and report back? Can you be committed? Not for life, but we do have a 12-month initial agreement. Most of our clients stay with us for years and years beyond that. But we don't want to work with people who are just dipping their toe in the water to see if it works. And we want to be with you through all the seasons of your business. So there is initially 12 months. And are you ready to change? So many people see that they want change, but they don't want to change. Anyone share with me Einstein's definition of success or of insanity? That's right. Same thing over and over, expecting different results. We don't want to work with insanity. We want people who are actually willing to change. Any of you guys ever priced out coaching? So these are some, coaching does have an investment, right? You're not gonna increase your income by 25 or 46%. Just these are some of the price tags that we've seen. Roger McConnell was paying $1,000 a month before he joined us. A lot of our coaches, myself included, have paid upwards of $1,500 a month. You could coach with Tony Robbins for $1 million. It's a real price tag. So that's one of the things that people really get excited about in our program, because we really feel like if you want to coach, you should be able to get a coach. We want it to be affordable. It's not without an investment, but you can get into our coaching program for just $650 a month, which, by the way, one transaction will pay for a whole year. So if you think about it and go, wow, if I really had someone pouring into me like that, if I really had someone holding me accountable, could I do it? I mean, you'd have to do something really weird to not increase your, most of our clients start seeing at least one new transaction per month once they get into coaching and start building new habits. We do have, for ultra performers, we do have Manager's Edge, which is also $650 a month. We have an elite coaching program, which is $1,300 a month. This is the one that I coach at, so if you wanted me as your coach. And then we have an executive level at $2,600 per month. So these are some of the things that people say, but what if? What if it's just bad timing, or I don't have the money right now? And I always address both of these at the same time and say, what both of these are saying is this: I'm not sure if it'll work for me. Right? Because if you were certain that it would work, there's never a bad time to increase your income, have more time to spend it, more time with your family, and increasing your confidence. And you would find the money because you know that in the investment comes back to you. So I always take this back when people have these kinds of concerns. I take it back to these three. Are you coachable, committed, and ready for change? If you are these three, you will see, like, you would have to do something really weird to not see these kinds of results. So I always just take it back to that. And if you're wavering on any of these three, then it isn't the right time. Does that make sense? And the last thing is I need to talk to my spouse. And my thing is that, and I promised my boss I'm not going to cause any divorces today. But this is a business decision, right? We've enrolled thousands of people who are married, and usually what the spouse wants to know is, are you going to use it? Right? Because honey, if you're going to have more money, we're going to have more time together, and you're going to be happier at home because you're not distracted with work all the time. Why didn't you do this sooner? And I agree with your spouse. Also, your spouse would tell you, if you're not going to use it, please don't waste our money. And still, I agree with your spouse. Either way, so it still comes back to coachable, committed, and ready to change. So now we're going to welcome back to the stage.
Where did you find that picture?
This is my favorite part. I cannot wait to find a Ted Lasso picture for the next time I do one of these. Our fearless leader.
That is back in the old short sale days.
The internet is,
Lives forever.
it lives.
Be warned, all. What goes on the internet stays on the internet.
It's a little different than what happens in Vegas.
Thank you for putting this all together for us. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
So I've been writing down some thoughts, as I know you all have. I have a couple of things I wanted to share that jumped out to me regarding the things that Amy's been sharing. The most of the three top producer mindsets that I wrote down, top producers find a way, not an excuse. I think that's really important. And again, I've talked some about a shifting market. This morning, past meetings, I'll be honest, I hear a lot of excuses, Amy. And I hear a lot of like, it's, interest rates are up, nobody's buying houses. Bullshit. Sorry. It's gonna call it out. Like, So find a way, not an excuse. Time management, if you're not 7 or 9, what is it costing you? I appreciate your perspective that it isn't always money. Like it probably is costing you money.
Yeah.
It's not always just that. And actionable item for myself and my real estate team, asking for referrals when we first meet with them, that's gonna go into our buyer's presentation, that needs to be a part. Like that particular activation.
Yeah,
We've all experienced it, that's huge. So anyway, thank you for all of those. And then I wanted to speak to kind of the importance of. What's like, what is coaching like, if I'm saying, for those of you that are considering what the coaching program is, or if it's the right time for you, all those things that Amy's gone over. It was the circle image that was the most impacting to me, which was the accountability. So for those of you that know that you need some sort of accountability, or that accountability partner, if you will, that coach to push you to the next level, I think you should consider it. I mean, I think when we talk, we're getting ready to do our business planning for 2023. Every year when I teach business planning, we go over goals, priorities, and strategies, and to set a very specific goal of what you want to accomplish, and then coming up with 3 priorities that will help you get to that goal, and then the strategies under each of those priorities. And I think for some of us, one of those priorities is to be a part of a coaching program that will give us the behaviors and the accountability to get to that goal. So anyway, I appreciate you sharing what you shared.
thank you.
And you mentioned, so I'm gonna turn it back to you because I know you have a few more things you want to share with
Yes.
us, but yeah, thank you for showing everybody my straight job.
I love it. You tell it out to people. So you guys don't worry, touching this enrollment form is not gonna charge your credit card. But I am gonna want, so I do have an added bonus for anyone that takes decisive action today. It's valued at $1,000. So you're gonna get 14 videos from our top producing. This is a whole class that we sell for $1,000. Right, it's called our action package. So anyone that enrolls today will also get the action package. You will also get Navigate 2.0, which is our leadership package. This is the behavior analysis, and where you'll learn about the 4 different behavior styles. And you will also get this library of books, whether you enroll today or at some point, this goes to everybody, gets that as an added bonus. So for the folks at home, my phone number is on top, and you can just text this to me. For those of you in this room, so you're gonna want to text me the number 1, 2, or 3. Okay, so that phone number when you hear the category. And for you guys, you'll just write this up on the top of your enrollment form. A 1 is I'm in. Amy, how do I get a coach? And you just have some like logistical questions. We'll meet afterwards. Can you go back one screen? For that? Yeah. Yes. So, thanks. Okay. A 1 is I'm in. A 2 is Amy, I want to do this, but I've got some questions. Okay. So these are both yeses, I'm moving forward. And a 3 is, hey, really appreciate you coming out, but I'm not getting a coach. Okay, and then you guys will all want to fill out at least this top portion so you can be entered in my giveaway. So what am I giving away? So the action package goes to anyone who enrolls in coaching today. And then, yeah, you'll want to at least put like your name, phone number, and any information. So anybody who likes to win, you guys like to win? Okay. So you can win the action package by giving referrals. So thank you, Lisa, by the way. So while you're deciding whether or not you want to enroll in coaching, remember I brought this out and I told you I had some additional training on asking for referrals. So the people that I'm looking for are people like Matt, people with a sales team of 3 or more. Okay, so notice what I did there, and that is something that you guys can do when you're asking for referrals. It's not just who do you know that wants to buy or sell or invest in real estate. Because your clients don't know, right? Like if I'm just like, who do you know that I can call on to do a workshop like this? Like, Amy, I don't know. sales managers with a team of 3 or more. So the way that translates into your business is when you look back, an exercise that I have all of my clients go through is list out all of your buyers, list out all of your sellers, and then next to their names, write why they moved, why they did what they did. Because that's going to give you some demographic information. So as an example, I coach a woman in Colorado, she's in Telluride, it's very high elevation. And she's also 70 years old. So a lot of her clients are older and older than her, right? When she did this exercise, she noticed more than half of her sellers, and by the way, the median home price is $4 million in Telluride. Okay, more than half of her sellers were moving because of the altitude. So it changed her referral ask from who do you know that wants to sell a house? But yeah, do you notice anyone struggling with the altitude? Do you have any friends or family who have a hard time going up the stairs? Right, we worked on some clear language that people could identify. Right, so when you go through, I have another client who did this exact same exercise. He's with a Sotheby's in Greenwich, Connecticut. And a lot of his sellers were, well, no, a lot of his buyers were selling places in New York City, and like moving out and buying places in Greenwich. Also, median price is like $2 million. So these are people selling very expensive real estate. But it's like, Michael, how many real estate agents do you know in New York City? None. Do you guys have a Sotheby's there? Yeah, why don't you pop in and give them a visit and ask which of their clients are moving to Greenwich? He now does that every single month. He goes to their networking events. It's about an hour drive for him. It's not much further than like you guys going to Coeur d'Alene. Although people aren't moving from Coeur d'Alene to Spokane, so I'm not recommending that for you. What I'm recommending is that you list out who your clients are, what are the demographic things, right? If you need help with that exercise, hire a coach. That's one of the things we help you with. So who I'm looking for, people with sales teams of 3 or more. Another demographic piece, when you think of some of the leaders that you know, so think of who's your favorite loan originator, who's their manager, who's your favorite, last time you bought a car, who manages that car dealership, right? You could even pull out your phone and scroll and start thinking. So these are tips and techniques that you can get, right? So do you notice that now I started naming industries? So you don't have to just stick with who do you know that's having a baby or getting married or getting divorced, right? You can also go to different circles. So I live in Coeur d'Alene. Who do you guys know that's maybe somewhere in northern Idaho or maybe Boise? Okay, so you see how I'm using triggers? Those are things that you guys can do when you're, especially somebody who has indicated they want to give you. How often do you hear someone say, you are amazing, and if I think of anyone, I'm definitely sending them your way? Right? These are people who want to. Now, some people are like, yeah, I mean, you can tell if someone's like, well, if I know anyone, you can tell if they're just blowing you off. Now be polite, okay? Don't, I'm not saying let's be weird. But the people who want to give you, genuinely want to give you people, but you're not doing this for them, it's kind of like you're putting in a bad Google search, right? Give them the right information, tell them what to look for, and talk and say things like, maybe anyone from your church, right? And so I pose that to you guys, people from your church that maybe have sales teams, those are great introductions. And by the way, I promise, I'm just gonna make you look good. It's safe to give me, because was it weird when I called you? Or does it actually make Brad look good?
Yeah.
Case in point. And folks at home, my phone number, my phone number's right here. So you can text those referrals to me. And I didn't hear any dings, so I don't think you gave me your 1, 2, or 3. I will hunt you down. If you don't give me a number, I'm gonna treat you like a 1. It's gonna be super awkward. Phone number, text watches the recording, like nice eyeball lady. So if we wanna finish with these and put your 1, 2, or a 3, and don't put a 2 just to be nice. If you're a 3, be a 3, because I will hunt you guys down. I know Tammy's like, it's getting a little awkward.
No, it's not.
I'm just
I'm
teasing.
seldom awkward.
Oh, I was thinking you were saying I'm being awkward, that's what I was.
Oh,
Amy,
like, no.
Amy,
Please be awkward.
Like, fill this out and just give it back to you. 'cause that's-
Yes, please, that would be
I
amazing.
didn't. phone number.
That's okay,
Okay, so is that enough? on
that is perfect, thank you, Lisa. What was your biggest takeaway?
So many, what's become important to me all of a sudden is my why. My why is to spend as much time in Kauai each year as I can. I go every year, but I'm only staying for a week this time, which is very short for me, but it's because I'm going with somebody who's doing a companion ticket for a week, but not a good year for me in real estate this year. And so my why, thinking about my why was wanting me to get more organized with my database, because I've been neglecting it and I've got to go with mine. And I've been neglecting it, so I'm really focused on my database right now, which I should have been all along.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have been in this valley, but it's okay, the valley's okay, I made enough last year that I'm still okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, the why.
yeah, really focused, and thank you for introducing me to Katrina and Robert. Yeah, I will call them. Oh, do you have a good phone number for them?
I don't, I just went to a real estate class there, but they're all about coaching, so I don't know.
I can find it.
Yeah, I figured you can't put the name of their company, but yeah.
Like if they sell real estate and I can't find
Well,
their
they-
number,
they-
then they need more help than I.
They have billboards, they're billboard people.
I think they announced on the radio too, so I will
And
definitely.
that's where I'm doing the 20.
Okay, so you're gonna have a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I would be too. It starts in December.
December 2nd through 7th, yeah.
Awesome. Just
I'm
remember
gonna
that you're
take
already at the best real estate.
Yeah, oh, I know. Take my yoga mat and my heating pad and my pillow, I'm gonna make myself comfortable, because it sounds like long days.
I work with a lot of real estate companies and a lot of realty one-rooms, and nobody has the kind of culture.
Yeah, no, I'm
I'm
not.
supposed to say culture.
I'm not leaving.
I guess I'm supposed to say culture.
I'm just taking care of it, taking advantage of it.
I think it's genius.
Yeah, if I could go to Tony Robbins for free, I would. In fact, I might crash that. Oh, thank you.
He probably would like it.
Thank you.
Another one.
Thank you. And then do you have, and then don't forget to let me know if you're 1 or 2 or 3 on the jet.
Are there any instructions for the Zoom people, or are we?
Yes, send me your 1, 2, or your 3, because if you, I mean, I can set up a time to meet one, either a phone call or a Zoom. And then, yeah, if you guys have any referrals, just text me their contacts and then just tell me a little bit about them.
Thanks, Zoom people.
Thank you.
We're out of here.
Everybody, I think before you shut it off, really quick, I think it's important for everyone to know that I have no like connection to the coaching program. I think sometimes. when, Like, I don't know, hopefully you all know me well enough and trust me that I'm not like trying to get finance on the back end somewhere, like what you guys decide to do with this company or not do with this company. My job is to give you the tools and to give you resources to be successful, so I just wanted to kind of mention that as we close, so.
So I don't have to give you the 10% that we
Yeah.
talked
Thank you, baby. Anyway, can we just give Amy a round of applause and thank her for today?
Great class. Thank you.
Think about some referrals before you leave, fill out the form and give it back to Amy. And thank you.
Getting a
everybody, for
new
being-
landscape picture, one of my cards is probably 10 years old.
There's actually like a meme going around about real estate agencies, but it's the photos that are 20 years old. So
I'm probably at least 10 years old.
you're under the line of where the meme makes fun of you, like,
Oh, no.
definitely get it done before you hit the 20-year mark.